come up eventually. Tonight we're going to finish up digestion part 2, which is very cool. And we're going to show you the best digestion video ever. Oh, it's even better than what I've been showing you. And that'll be eventually. There's like 3 videos today. And so you should be aware that what happens on Tuesday? Oh, boy, test, exam, something. Is it 4? I think so. So we're having an exam on Tuesday. That'll be fun. And this Friday, again, we're doing another science discussion deal. It's going to be at 11 o'clock. So you probably should go to the SI review. But if you, yeah, so it's going to be 11 o'clock, so it'll just be a distraction summertime. Let's see what else you know. I think that's all for now. We only have like 3.5 weeks left. Holy crap, it's going fast. And you still have half your grades in the air right now, so keep that in mind. The whole half of the semester is still up in the air with only 3 weeks out. If I know. Yes, okay, good. So any questions about that stuff? No? All right, good. So let's finish up digestion. We were talking about the tube. So we got through stomach, I think what it was, or oh, I have it here. Oh no, we got the small intestine, duodenum, right? Hey, what am I doing? Oh, there's 2. There we go. I'm getting there. Almost here. Good. Okay, so what we're doing is we're getting through the intestines. The first part's called the duodenum. So what you have is here's your stomach. We talked about it a little bit, and then you've got this bad boy coming off of here. Nestled within here, you have an organ. There's another organ up here. What organ is this nestled in the arms of the duodenum? Pancreas. So this is your pancreas. What organ is up there above everything? Liver. Good. So the liver is the cells in the liver are making a chemical, and they deliver it to the first part of the small intestine, to the duodenum. What's the name of this muscular sac right here? Gallbladder. Good. So the gallbladder is squirting out a chemical. What chemical are we talking about? Bile. Very nice. So bile's coming in. At the same time, the pancreas is making pancreatic juice, and it delivers it to the same tube, and that squirts in the duodenum. So as you can see, the duodenum is fantastically important. It gets all these chemicals and just amazing stuff. So a couple more things about the duodenum. This is where the bile duct comes in. We kind of talked about that a little bit here. There's a little sphincter right there. That's the key sphincter that regulates how much gets in. Now there is a blow-off valve for the pancreas, this little tube right here where it can kind of drip past. But the bile pretty much backs up if that thing's closed, and it just kind of concentrates in your gallbladder. So the bile duct, the little bile duct enters, and there's the sphincter there that regulates the flow. So it's called now it's called the hepatopancreatic sphincter. I think in the old days when I was a puppy, they called it the sphincter of Odie. So if you remember Odie from Garfield, that's always reminds me. But now it's just the hepatopancreatic sphincter. That little fella. Pretty cool. Any questions there? Oh, good, good. And the last little bit in the duodenum, you have the duodenal glands. Oh boy. That is the final piece in a puzzle. Okay? You want to buffer stomach, acid. And so far we've talked about 2. This is the 3rd prong attack. So okay, so we got the duodenal glands. Duodenal glands. They're making alkaline solution. What are the other 2? Who else is attacking that pH from the stomach? Bile. Oh, very nice. Bile is alkaline, so that helps. And there's a 3rd one. What organ's giving us the 3rd one? Oh, so this is coming from the liver. The 3rd one's coming from the pancreas. What's in the pancreatic juice? Oh, bicarbonate. Bicarbonate is in the pancreatic juice. This is coming from the pancreas. Okay, so this gives you a 3-pronged attack. The duodenal glands are actually part of the small intestine. You also have the liver helping out, and you also have the pancreas helping out. So there's a lot involved with this. Just to take it a step further, what cells specifically are causing this bicarbonate to come out of the pancreas? Who's making it? Oh, I think I heard it. Acini cells. Acini cells. What cells make bile? Hepatocytes. Hepatocytes. So that's the kind of stuff you're going for the test. You want to be able to name all the cells, and then what stimulates the cells, and then what the cells make. And so this is kind of a beginning of understanding of that. There you go. So that's the duodenal glands. My goodness, there's so much going on in the duodenum. Any questions there? Pretty impressive bit. It's only 10 inches long, but the idea is hit it hard at the first 10 inches. Make it the way you want it. Mix up all the enzymes, and then you've got 20 feet just to let it incubate. Just let it churn around. So the next bit's called the jejunum. There's not a whole lot going on in the jejunum. Mostly you're just absorbing. Okay, so literally translated, jejunum means empty, which is utterly useless, I guess, to know. But in the early days, when they cut this part open, it looked empty because it was just all your food mixed up with juices, and so it looked like there was nothing there. So I said, holy crap, it's empty. And this was back 1800s. They thought digestion was mostly due to the spiritual force that lived in your digestive tract, and the spiritual force tore the food apart. And there were some chemicals too, but the force is what did it. Oh, and so then Star Wars, I guess, was born. And now we know it's actually the killer. And that was going back to that Beaumont guy. Beaumont, what he'd do is he'd open up St. Martin's flap and gets the juices out, and then he'd get a pretty good amount of it, and then he'd stick food in just that, and it would dissolve. He's like, holy crap, it doesn't. You don't need the force. All you need is the chemicals. So, so that kind of ruined the whole force thing. I'm going to give you estimates on length on a couple more things. I'm not going to really test you on that necessarily. In general, for your own edification, jejunum 10 inches or so, and the next half of it is called, duodenum, first 10 inches. Jejunum is the next 10 feet or so, and then the next 10 feet is called the next name I'll give you. All right, so any questions on jejunum? This is just incubation too. The next bit, the last bit's called the ileum. Okay, that's the last half, like I said, so, 10 to 12 feet long. Ileum literally translates means twisted, which isn't helpful either. To me, that name's just a cop-out, because the whole thing's really twisted, so it's not really impressive. But there it is. Now you're at the pH you're happy at. So the duodenum goes from 2 to 6, which is phenomenal. So jump that far that quick is pretty cool. And then the rest of it just kind of keeps diluting and buffering, and eventually get to like a 7, 7.4, somewhere in there. And then you're very, very happy. All right, good question on that. All right, the characteristic of the ileum, you see a lot of these. Tons of Peyer's patches. Now, the entire small intestine has Peyer's patches, but you see a ton of them in the ileum. So the Peyer's patches are deliberately designed to kill bacteria. What bacteria are you so worried about? Where are they coming from? Oh, good, your large intestine. Remember, your large intestine is our attempt to be herbivores. You've got this sac with about 3 to 6 pounds of bacteria just stuffed in there, and that's for eating plants. And we want them; they're helpful for us. But then you don't want them making you sick, so you set up your military right outside the door, so nobody gets to come up north. Yeah, so you're protected from your own bacterial species. Very cool. So any question about the small so far? Not so bad. Just duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Gotta get that in a row. Oh, good. All right. So now I'm going to show you a video. I think AP1 I briefly showed this, but it'll make more sense now. Actually, I think that's a link. Let me see if it's a link. Oh, look at me. I'm so smart. There we go. And he's got a British accent, which makes it cooler. But what you have here is, this is where they had this person swallow a slightly radioactive substance. This is the tube right here. This is the jejunum coming down, and then it loops back and does this. And this just gives you an impression of how twisty it all is. And so what you get to see is peristalsis. You're going to dilate in front and squeeze behind, and just launch it. And this is in real time, too, so this is how it really looks. So if you had a little snack, this is what it's doing. So there's your tuna sandwich or whatever. This is what you're listening for. When you put your head on someone's gut and you hear the blow up, all that lovely stuff, that's this. Very impressive. And you can imagine if these membranes are inflamed, which is called peritonitis, this would hurt. So everything you eat or drink is just going to hurt, because it's all going to be moving with grabbing and pulling and not good. There you go. Very cool. Any question, peristalsis? Pretty neat process. Oh, very good. All right, that's not the coolest video ever. That's a good one, but there's cooler coming. Okay, so now we get to the large intestine. What you have here, this is a cool picture. Same thing, radioactive substance. This is small intestine, and then right there is the ileocecal valve. And so this is the sac of the large intestine, that kind of big sac. What's that big sac of the large intestine called? Cecum. Oh, this is the cecum. This is the cecum, and there would be appendix here if they still had it. And then what you got is ascending, transverse, descending, and then it goes sigmoidal, and then rectum, and then anus. Pretty cool. So once again, I'm not going to test you necessarily in the length. It's about 5 feet. But it's big. It's like 2.5 inches in diameter. It's a big tube. Stuff can be in there 12 hours, so typically not that long, but estimates are in the 12-hour range, but that's way over what typically goes. Let's take a look at it. First off, the borders are the ileocecal valve to the anus. That's the whole deal. You can see it here. And what's cool is a lot of people don't realize once your food comes out of the small intestine, the first thing it does is go upward. So it comes up your ascending, then across your transverse, and then down the descending. So it kind of makes a loop-de-loop around your small intestine. But the walls are similar to the small intestine. You've got your simple columnar epithelium. I'll show you some pictures later. What you'll notice is the large intestine, the walls look relatively smooth. It's still simple columnar, but it's not like the whole villi thing like you saw small. Small intestine almost looks like furry almost, but the large looks kind of smooth. And that's because you're not really grabbing all like you were grabbing in the small. The large primarily is designed to hold the bacteria. That's the main objective, hold it. And let the bacteria do their job on the plants, and then you live off whatever the bacteria throw at you. So this is still permeable, but it's not doing all the work the small did. Small is much more active. So simple columnar epithelium, and it's mostly water and vitamins. There's a couple of vitamins here we'll talk about in a bit. But that's about it for the large. That's about all it absorbs. And the water, most of your water is actually absorbed in the small. Some people would argue with you with that, but don't let them because you will win. The small absorbs most of it. The only reason your large is really taking that water out is it's trying to adjust your poo to make it just perfect, just the perfect kind of poo. If you take out too much water, it becomes like a big 2x4 in your chest, and it just sits there and everything backs up. You get compounded bowels. Not good. And then if it doesn't take out enough water, then oh no, it gets all squirty and stuff. So you want to take out just enough to make the perfect poo. So that's not easy. It's a little balancing act. And then you've got some vitamins I'll talk about in a bit. So any questions about the large? Pretty impressive too. Good. Okay, you also have everyone's favorite, the goblet cells. Oh, there's a pretty picture of the large. Look at that. Now, with these kind of pictures, you realize, of course, they're injecting air to blow it up big so you can see it. So normally it's collapsed. But you can see it doesn't look furry on the walls. Like the small looks kind of furry. This is more smooth. It's just a home for bacteria. Just let them live. And it's kind of cool because you're born with nothing. You're born perfectly sterile, and then you just get bacteria from somewhere. And no one really knows exactly how they get in us, but you start off with 1, 2, 3, 4 species, and right now you have between 200 and 300 different species. So cell-wise, they outnumber you 10 to 1. They got you beat. You're losing the war. But there's about 200 to 300 different ones in there. And some love you and want you alive, and some are actually deliberately trying to kill you, and it's like, ah! So it's a big battleground, and you're screwed either way. Pretty cool. Any questions there? Well, good. So these goblets are the ejector seats. If anything gets in here and irritates these bad boys, you'll hit that button and boom, you'll goblet cell with a vengeance. Whoa. What do you call it when your goblet cells just start dumping? Diarrhea. It's called diarrhea. Yeah, that's their job. If you irritate this bad boy, he's going to get you back. He's going to just light it up with mucus, lots of mucus. So diarrhea is a mixture of excessive mucus mixed with, you make the large intestine less permeable to water. So you keep the water in the poo and you throw mucus at it. Oh my goodness, it's impressive. Wow, good stuff. Oh, there's my visual. Wow, good stuff. So any questions on goblets? So now you see a trend. Goblet cells are everywhere. They kind of define a mucous membrane because they make mucus, so it kind of goes together. Here's a pretty word. You want to name your kids this. Bacterial flora. Doesn't it sound pretty? What that means is this massive colony, man. You've got some impressive stuff going on down there. And there's a lot of research. Clinically, you're going to hear a lot about this. Right now, they're just in the infancy of understanding how many species we have. Because humans, as a species, we have over 1,000 different species possible. You probably only have 200 or 300. But over the whole planet, you're talking 1,000 to 1,200. Okay, so what's cool about that is you have a certain population you've acquired throughout your life. Many of them overlap with me, but many of them don't. So you ate a French fry on the floor of an airport, so you have a species I don't have. And I ate maybe a cracker that fell in a farm somewhere, so I have a species you don't have. And then our collection is going to be different than someone from Colorado, and their collection is different than someone from Nevada. They're all different. And so they're finding now sometimes when you're sick, it's not that I should give you antibiotics, I should actually give you a bacteria. And if I give you the proper one, it'll fix you. You get better. If I dare give you an antibiotic, it'll actually throw it the wrong way. It'll kill the good stuff. You're worse off than before. So they're starting to learn now a little bit of what populations we should have. They're surveying each region, and they're trying to figure out what we need, and then they're supplementing it and seeing if it works. And in some cases, the results are phenomenal, so it's kind of cool. But the primary one in your large intestine is the mighty E. coli. The E stands for escheric. This guy right here, one day he said, "Hey everybody, I found bacteria in someone's butt. I'm going to name it after myself." There we go. I find that peculiar. I would name it after someone else. I can think of a few. Yeah. Great question there. Oh, cool. That's where the name came from. It's me. Yeah. But they break down plant matter. This is good stuff. The walls of plants are sugar. They're pure sugar. But no mammal on the planet has the enzyme to break it. We can't touch it. Useless to us. So what we do is we have a big sack of bacteria, and we let them attack it, and so they can actually get the sugars for it. So that's relatively nice of them. Now what they give off, though, is vitamins, which is cool, but they also give off gas. Lots of gas. So the more plant matter you eat, usually the more gassy you get. There's this cool burning question. If you ask farmers, why is there an ozone hole? Farmers will say industry. Industry's doing it. And if you ask industry, why is there a hole in the ozone layer? They'll say farmers, those cows are shooting all the time. So they're actually trying to get at that question with this experiment. What they're doing is they're putting hoses up, the butts of cows, and they put this big balloon on the back, and every time they cut one, it gets a little bigger. And so at the end of the day, you measure the volume, and there you go. So they're trying to figure out exactly how much methane each cow puts out. It's just clever. I like this experiment. I want to see one unethical, maybe have them sign a waiver, but I want to see some open flame nearby, and then be like instant ribs. Big question there. Just fascinates me. To some extent, they still have to eat a certain volume of plant matter and have to process a certain amount to get a certain amount of nutrient. But yeah, it would vary by region for sure. Milk tastes different depending where you get it. So it's, there'd be a little bit.
They should try and process that gas and solve the fuel problem.
That would be wonderful. Wouldn't it make sense? We could all eat tacos and power our cars. Yeah. It works. They use, that's true, for manure. That's true. They kind of get the methane off of that. Yeah, that works. Yeah. So it's an untapped resource for sure. Yeah. Get milk, you get gas. Very cool. But what the bacteria are doing is giving off these little guys I showed you before. This is cool. So in nature, there isn't a lot of these two around, but we carry around a sack of bacteria. They eat the sugar, they process the sugar, and they give us these vitamins. So it's kind of cool. Most bacteria actually give off poisons that make you very sick. These bacteria just happen to go vitamins instead. Now they do give off some poisons as well, but we get the vitamins out of it. And so we're adapted to sort of handle the poisons and take this and just try it. Very good stuff. Now if you got E. coli in you from a cow, the symptom would be you become violently ill. If you got E. coli, a fair amount of E. coli from a human, what's the symptom? You die. So there's a way to tell. The symptoms are subtly different. So if you go to the restaurant and you got whoa, sick, it was probably cow E. coli, possibly. Unless it was just a small amount of E. coli from the cook or whatever, that's possible too. Yep, good question there. But human E. coli is very toxic to humans for some reason. It's worse than cow E. coli. So here's a question that's going to come up at dinner. This is a thought question. What you got is bacteria making lots of gas, okay? You're also making poo at the same time. So you have these two things in the same tube. How am I going to get one without the other every time? Because sometimes maybe I don't need to poo. What you have is, I got a question. How do I get rid of the gas without the poo? See, this will come up at dinner. There's something called a rectal valve. Okay, this is the very tail end of your large intestine. It's like a little somewhat cartilaginous flap, sort of. And the poo, when it comes down, gets caught in the valve. And that way you can get the gas around it. And then when you have an appropriate sort of receptacle for your business, you can increase the pressure in the abdominal cavity, overwhelm the flap, and whoa, it comes on out. So that's how you separate poo from gas. Yay! So now you know the answer. And to me, it always, when I think about it, I think of the mousetrap game somehow. You've got flaps and valves and stuff. I don't know, I can't separate those two in my head. Great question there. Pretty clever, huh? You wouldn't have thought about putting that in there, but good thing it is. Very cool. Yeah, good question on your rectal valve. No, Good. Now, the very end, you have the anus, or the anal canal. Don't confuse rectum with anus, because that'll come up at dinner too. Rectum and anus are very different. The rectum is the straight part of the large intestine. It's just smooth muscle. Whereas the anus actually has a double muscle sphincter. Very clever. What you have is the inner ring is smooth muscle. Okay, and what that means is it's a sissy. So when the poo shows up, it says, oh, I don't care. Let it rip whenever you feel like it. But we have, outside of that, another ring of muscle. Oh, this is the ring to control them all. What it does is it's skeletal muscle. Yeah. And you can control it. Oh, this makes parties less awkward because you can decide sort of when to poop. Within reason, of course. Pretty cool. It's very clever. Yeah. You're going to see the same architecture as this, the smooth with the skeletal. At the very end of the urethra, the tube that delivers urine to the outside environment, at the tip of the urethra, you have the double sphincter. And so you can control where you pee. Very clever stuff. And this is the only other instance of skeletal muscle we've seen, okay? You have your jaw muscles, those are skeletal, and there's nothing till this little ring right here. That's the only other voluntary skeletal muscle involved. Everything else is smooth. Can't touch it. Can't run it consciously, voluntarily. They're a pretty neat system. Big question there. Fascinating. Well-built system. I like this one. Now you get to see a video that's very educational and will make you squirm a little bit. But it's good for you. There we go.
Colonoscopy is a flexible fiber optic scope examination of the large bowel, which is synonymous with the colon and rectum. A bowel preparation is administered beforehand so that a good view is obtained at the time of the procedure. The patient is brought into the endoscopy suite, placed in the lateral position, and conscious sedation administered.
So what you have here is the guy has a joystick. So the joystick is attached to these cables that go to the tip of it. And you move that little joystick around, the very tip can move any way you want. So you can actually move the thing all the way back around, like 180 degrees. So then as you're guiding it through, it's like a really lame video game where you watch the screen and you kind of, oh, go through the tube, gotta attack the Death Star or something like that. And like you said, they use conscious sedation. Conscious sedation is a weird, oh goodness. They give you this anesthetic that you're awake, but you don't have any idea what you're doing, sort of. And when it wears off, you sort of come out of it, but you have no idea what you've been saying for the past hour, and they're all laughing about something humorous you just said. And it's like, whoa, you guys are weird. I had a upper GI one time, and it's funny, as I was passing out, I don't know if it was a joke or not, but the right at the very, when I was about to go up, the nurse was like, is this upper or lower? I don't remember. I'm like, oh no! And so I'm like, upper! But I don't remember anything, and then right when I was coming out of it, I heard someone talking. And then a second later, I realized it was me, and I was like, holy crap. And I was like, what am I talking about? And that's when they all said, oh, he's awake. And it was very cool. It was a fantastic experience. So it's this weird thing where you're awake but don't remember. Very strange. So you don't really want to remember this anyway, so that's okay.
The scope is inserted through the anus, and then up through the rectum and into the colon. It is attached to a camera which relays
Just like
excellent view.
there's more to the video than this. This is I can watch this for 20 minutes.
This is the view that can be seen from the monitor, and in this particular case, the lining of the colon appears entirely normal. There now follows a collection of pathologies that can be identified at.
Okay, quick review, sort of. In lab, you learned that the large intestine has these like clusters of muscle, and there's this longitudinal muscle fiber strip called the T9 coli. But these clusters of muscle fibers are characteristic of the large intestine. You kind of see them here. What are these like clusters of muscle called? Haustrum. Good, these are haustrum. Okay. For some reason, unknown to science, for some reason in some people, the wall of their haustrum will kind of, like they call it invaginate, kind of dip. And so you'll get these odd little things sticking out, okay? If you have this, you will be diagnosed with diverticulosis. So these are diverticulum. So if they divert, diverticulum is the same root word. Okay, so you have diverticulosis. What they're going to tell you is don't eat food that doesn't get chewed very well. So you could still eat crackers and bread and junk, but don't eat sunflower seeds, corn, stuff like that. Because a lot of times sunflower seeds and corn will make it all the way through you. And if they get up in here, you and your infinite wisdom will throw inflammation at it, and now you have diverticulitis. So that's diverticulosis can lead to diverticulitis. It's not really considered a thing that needs to be cured or removed. It's just once you're diagnosed, you're now warned. Don't eat sunflower seeds and stay away from corn or something. But this is what it looks like. You can really see.
Colonoscopy. Diverticular disease is a condition that is characterized by numerous outouchings of the bowel wall. Crohn's disease is a chronic inflammatory condition.
Crohn's is poorly understood. Best guess is it's autoimmune. So this is your own immune system just taking out parts of your intestine. It's horribly misunderstood, and the only real cure if it's really bad like this is they actually just cut that section out, throw it away, and hope for the best. So it's a mean one. Boy, they need a lot more research in this.
Affecting the full thickness of the bowel wall. Ischemic colitis is inflammation and ulceration of the lining due to an inadequate blood supply. On the left-hand side is a polyp, which is a
So this is your classic polyp. What you see is the neck of it here. So this is one side, is the other side. This whole thing is the neck. And this whole big lump here is the tip of it. That's kind of the head of the thing. And so most cases, these aren't cancerous, but they're very highly mitotic and very well vascularized. So the fear is they will go cancerous. So that's why they typically remove these if they find them. And what you're going to do is that the colonoscopy tube there has a camera. It's got a little water squirter, and it also has this little pencil-looking deal that has a very hot tip when you hit the button. And so what they do is they pin it by the neck and then hit the button and they cauterize it off. So you can see here.
Tumor attached to the lining of the bowel by a stalk.
So here it's pinned. So you got the neck of it coming down here, and there's the head of it, and you've got it pinned with this device. And that can get super hot real quick when you hit the button.
Treated by excision, and this is achieved by basically snare diathermy over the polyp and cutting through the stalk.
And there it is. So you've got the cauterized stalk here, and here's the head. And then, like I said, the little camera deal has also a little water squirter. So it's going to squirt, and then there's also a flow out, and the doctor's got this little mesh thing between his legs. And so he's going to catch all the little polyps and then send them off to the lab and say, well, how they look. And typically, like I said, not cancerous, just got to get rid of them.
Polyp is seen lying free on the left-hand side, which is then retrieved, and a normal-looking stalk on the right. This polyp, which is broad-based and no more than a centimetre in size, is treated in exactly the same way. Cancer of the colon, otherwise known as a malignant tumour.
So this is all tumor here.
In this particular case, there's a thick rolled edge and ulceration. This shows a
This is about as big as they get. So this whole thing is just pretty much the lumen is filled with tumor. That's all tumor.
that is almost totally obliterating the lumen of the bowel, which is on the right-hand side. And finally,
So here's what I was talking about before. You can actually push the camera past something. So in that particular case, they push past the tumor. This is the camera. Okay, this is the fiber optic of the camera, and the guy just flipped the little switch where the camera turned on itself, is now taking a picture back the other way. So it's kind of clever, but
the scope has been
that's
turned
all
to
tumor
180
here.
degrees to demonstrate an obvious cancer arising within the lower part of the rectum. Colonoscopy involves traversing the whole length of the rectum and colon from the anus to the last part of the small bowel where it joins the colon, otherwise known as the cecum. This structure can be seen here with the ileocecal valve on the right-hand side. It is possible to visualize the last part of the small bowel by entering through the ileocecal valve if small bowel pathology is suspected.
Now you're going to see the appendix. It's going to pop up right about here. You see just the whole of it.
Confirmation that the cecum has been reached can be achieved in a number of ways. In this particular instance, it is identification of the opening of the appendix as seen in the center of the picture here.
There it is. That little hole right there, that's it. So it's not all that exciting on the inside. Yep.
Upon withdrawal of the scope, a second careful examination is made of the lining of the colon and rectum to ensure that no pathology has been missed on the way in. In this particular case, the lining
now you see he starts to look like he's practicing the violin.
Once the scope has been removed,
Sure, what
the
do you
patient is transferred to the recovery room, and after approximately 30 to 60 minutes, they are ready to be discharged home. Patients who have had a colonoscopy under sedation should not drive the car or operate machinery for the remainder of the day.
Oh, no forklift for you. Cool. Good question on that. Fascinating. Good. Oh, good. Excellent. Okay, the first disorder I mentioned already. Well, you've got this covering on your guts down here. Everything south of the diaphragm is just simply covered in peritoneum. So if the peritoneum gets infected or inflamed, it's called peritonitis. Very logical term. Clinically, the most common sort of cause you're going to see probably for peritonitis is somebody's appendix blew up. So if your appendix blows, it's going to throw all that infection all over the place. It's going to rage through here. Your immune system really isn't that strong inside the cavity because you're not supposed to get that infected. So it gets away pretty quick. What you'll find is you're going to get a huge gas bubble sort of form in a couple of days, and it's going to be all bubbly, and you can move it around a little bit. And you're like, yep, that's it. Yep. Big question of peritonitis. It's a mean one. Okay, I got to mention pica because we're talking about digestion, and you probably heard this maybe a little. Pica is a condition where you eat stuff you're not supposed to. It's not considered food. The more common ones are going to be like crushed ice. Some people love crushed ice. They can't help themselves. They eat volumes of crushed ice. And that's actually a symptom sometimes of what? You know? Anemia. Yeah, crushed ice and anemia for some reason seem to be linked. What you'll see with a vengeance is when females get pregnant, sometimes pica hits them hard. So they'll eat crushed ice, or they'll go after drinking vinegar, or they'll go in the backyard and eat handfuls of dirt, stuff like that. That's considered pica. It can go to a full-blown sort of neurological disorder. This guy right here just swallowed 12 pounds of coins. And what you have there is that is his pelvis. That's his ileum, and that's his stomach. So obviously, lesser momentum let go, and whoop. So this is a big deal. So you'll come across that clinically too. That's considered bad. Yeah, so I question about pica. It's an interesting disorder. There's a TV show on pica? Oh. Oh, really? Oh, wow. I need to watch that. It's amazing what you can run through there and not die. It's like, wow. Okay. Okay, this has an interesting story to H. pylori. H. pylori is a species of bacteria. Now, what happened was there were two researchers, and they said, hey, we found a bacteria species, and we think it lives in the stomach. And what happened is all the other scientists then laughed at them for quite some time, because nothing can live in the stomach. That's stupid. I mean, come on, it's a tube. So what the main researcher did was something considered unethical. He had himself checked. And what he said was, this bacteria causes ulcers. He had himself checked. He had no ulcers whatsoever. Then what he did is he took a collection of H. pylori and he drank it. Nom, 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 nom. And then he had himself checked about a week later. He had ulcers everywhere. He destroyed himself. It's like, whoa. So he proved it. Yay, you got it right. Now, since they were researching this bacteria, they already had the antibiotic. So he took the antibiotic, and within a few days or so, all the bacteria went away. Ulcers completely healed. So what they proved was, unethically sort of, is this is the cause of ulcers. And so far, worldwide, it looks like it causes about 90% of it. So on average, about 90% of all ulcers on the planet are this species of bacteria. Evil thing. Nothing else competes with it because nothing else can live in the stomach. So it's got a sole source of food. And what's cool is, or interesting, I don't know, it eats through your mucus, okay, and it burrows in the wall, and then that's what opens up a space where the acid then comes in. But during this whole metabolism process of the H. pylori, they give off ammonia as well as urea. Oh. And so the test for H. pylori is you test the breath. And you have a little machine you blow through, and if they collect a significant amount of urea, you've got it. It's a diagnosis. It's a very simple diagnosis. And you take the antibiotic, it goes away, no more ulcers. Works very well. Now, traditionally, people will say, oh, no, ulcers are caused by stress. Well, stress weakens your immune system, so it is logical to say that when your immune system is weakened, your chances of an outbreak are higher, but it's not a direct thing. The stress itself can't cause an ulcer. That's sort of an old wives' tale kind of thing. But there's this story of H. pylori. And those two guys that drank their own stuff, which they're not supposed to, they got the Nobel Prize. So it paid off. What the heck? Yep, a couple $100,000 to drink some junk. Okay. Any question on H. pylori? Fascinating bacteria. Good. Okay, acid reflux is kind of a, most people think, oh, it's just acid reflux. If you get acid reflux like once a week or once a month when you eat tacos, then that's actually considered heartburn. Don't worry about it. If you get reoccurring constant acid reflux, that's actually considered a very big deal clinically, because if you constantly hit the esophagus with acid, the esophagus is going to do one of two things. It's either going to go real fibrous scar tissue. It's going to start to shrink. And what's going to happen, the food will back up. You'll get what's called megaesophagus. And so they're going to put a balloon in there and actually physically stretch it back out, which apparently is painful. So you're either going to go scar tissue or it's going to go cancerous. And that's relatively common. You'll get esophageal cancer. And they can build a new one out of part of your intestine, but it's not pretty either. So you got to get it checked if you get it a lot. And the treatments are all over the place. The newer ones are better. They've got all these, like I said, the hydrogen ion pump deactivators, Pepsid ACs and stuff. Those are really cool. That's a more relatively recent discovery, but man, they're wonderful. They work great. So, a question about acid reflux.
Wouldn't you get sicker if you always took acid reflux pills?
Good question. It makes your stomach a little less efficient. So, on that end of it, yes, your digestion is not quite what it used to be, but the alternative is cancer. So it's like, So you're right. It doesn't seem long term. I haven't read anything long term that's noticeable effects. And we're talking North America where we take vitamins and stuff anyway, so it's hard to tell. But you're right. It would reduce the efficiency of that. But you don't read anything about it. Which might be pharmaceutical companies saying, what's the problem? Keep taking it. You're good.
Some people, like my grandmother-in-law, like hers was so bad that she couldn't even keep large amounts of food, like a full meal down,
Yeah.
small meal.
Right.
So, I mean, it's worth taking the antacids as a compensatory thing.
Just to get it down, yeah.
She ended up having the surgery for it.
Yeah, they have a surgery, even one where they take your fundus and wrap it around and staple it, and it like makes a sphincter. That's pretty cool. There's several little things they can do. Quite nice. Yeah. So any questions there? The nasty bit. Okay, gingivitis. This one just makes sense. Mainly, it's if you floss and brush a lot and you see like lots of blood. That's like, yeah, you got early gingivitis. If you want to see something interesting, type in gingivitis and hit images, but make sure you have something to eat and maybe a little drink at the same time, because oh my goodness, the pictures get amazing. This one's not too bad, but yeah, it's considered reversible. Now all this is the bacteria that you normally have, and your mouth is filthy. My goodness. So your mouth is already pretty nasty. If you don't keep up with it, this stuff will rage for a bit, start infecting all up in here, and eventually what will happen is there will be compromised enamel somewhere, and the acid these bacteria make will eat through that enamel or that dentin, and then it's eventually going to get into your pulp, and that's called pulpitis. So uncontrolled gingivitis will lead to pulpitis. And pulpitis, you don't hear about pulpitis as much, but you hear about the cure, which is a root canal. So it just means that the infection hit the pulp, and it's going to rage through down into here. And the problem is, once an infection gets through the pulp, it's going to actually hit your mandible or maxilla, and it'll start dissolving the bone itself. So you'll actually dissolve your jaw or your maxilla, and that's not good. So you're going to get it drilled out, and they'll cap it, and everything's all hunky-dory and good. And they do these on everything, cats and dogs and leopards and whatever. Yep. So a question of pulpitis or root canals. Evil things. If you go to Gainesville, you got to go to the dental school and go to the very far basement. In the very down basement of the dental school, there's this counter where they rent like equipment junk. On the back wall, there's this big poster picture blown up huge. And all you see is this wrinkly gray all over big thing. And then in front of it is this man with this very peculiar smile, kind of a little bit half-wicked, and he's holding a big two-handed drill and sticking out the ends of the drill bit about that long, and there's blood everywhere. And you're like, whoa! And so I went there one day. I was like, this is interesting. What's the picture of? And what it is one of the local zoos that had an elephant with a cavity, and it got bad, got all the way down into the root. And so they called UF Dental School, said, do you want to try it? And I'm like, we'll try. And so they sterilized this drill bit and just went to town, and it worked. So the elephant lived, and yay. So that's the wicked smile. It's a pretty cool picture. Yeah, so a question there? You don't want anything. Very cool. Okay, jaundice. Two important things about jaundice. One thing about jaundice is it's bile built up, essentially. So it's bile actually getting into your blood. Bile is not supposed to get in the blood. It's supposed to drain from the lobules and the hepatocyte sort of little, canals into the bile duct and fall in the large intestine or small intestine and get pooped out. It's supposed to be pooped out. So if it does get in your blood, it'll turn you sort of this lovely sort of yellowy color. So one important thing is jaundice is essentially bile in your blood. So it's called bilirubin at that point, but it's broken down hemoglobins. The other important thing is jaundice isn't really a disease, it's a symptom of something. So it's like saying headache. What's a headache? What could be ice cream up to brain tumor? Don't know. So when you get jaundice, what is it? It could be anything from a blocked bile duct all the way up to liver failure, and anything in between. So it's a symptom. Yeah.
So obviously when the bile duct gets blocked, the bile's already been created, so it's that in your blood. But
Yeah.
is it possible for it to be like the broken apart pieces of blood cells that aren't filtered by the liver? Like if the liver isn't actually filtering?
Oh yeah. See, that would be
Like
that's the liver.
That's the bilirubin part of bile then?
It is. That's what gives it. Yes, exactly. So if the liver's not processing enough, it'll kick it in the blood,
Okay.
or just the liver just doesn't take it out and just builds up in the
Right,
blood.
so like if it's not filtering it, then it'll end up in your blood,
Yep.
or if the bile duct's backed up.
Either way, yeah. So you're hoping for bile duct, because if it's the liver failure, that sucks. Yeah. Ah, good question. When babies come out of the uterus, they're just trying to desperately survive. Beat the heart, breathe a little bit. That's all they're going for. So in a fair number of cases, their liver's not quite turned on yet. So you put them under the growth lamp there thing, and what that UV radiation does is all it does is just help break down the molecules in their skin. It really doesn't help the disease at all. It just breaks down the toxins, the bile, the bilirubin. And so it helps them process that. And the idea is their little liver is going to turn on within a week or so. And so in most cases, it just does. So it's mostly just to get rid of the symptoms, not the disease, and you expect the liver to be fine. If you took an adult with jaundice and put them under, it'd do the same thing, but see, their liver should have turned on by now. So it's obviously something much greater than just simply not getting there yet. So they don't even do that with adults. They're like, screw it, there's something big here, and they'll have to go dig and find out. Yeah, but just wait for the baby's eye or liver to turn on. Yeah. So here's a cool experiment. This is a blocked bile duct. This is what it looks like. You load up the bile with some slightly radioactive substance. You hit them with fatty food, have them eat a cheeseburger, and the gallbladder just empties out like you'd expect. This person, nothing happened. So there you go, blocked bile duct. He's got jaundice because of bile duct. You're good. Yep. So any question about jaundice?
Now, if the bile duct is blocked and it's going into the blood, does
Yeah.
that mean that your waste product is not brown?
That's a good question. How brown would your poo be? It would be less brown. It'd be more of a white substance, I imagine. Yeah, I'm trying to think through it.
So you would know.
You'd know. Part of it would be there's pain involved too, because once that stone gets in that bile duct, it's going to hurt. Because the bile duct itself exhibits peristalsis, so it's doing the whole milking thing. So if a stone gets in there, you're going to be sitting there going, ow, ow, ow. If it's just a mutation, like it's kinked or tumor or something, then yeah, you'd know because your poo's a different color, and you'd go jaundicey. So you'd say, yep, you got a double hit there. It is possible if it's the tube's just malformed, they'll put in a separate tube. They can put in like a prosthetic tube that just drains it right in the intestine. That works too. So they can do that. They can bypass it. Yep. Oh, this is a side note. It's interesting to talk about. If you want to fake jaundice, which is fun, what you want to do is you load up yourself with bags of carrots and sweet potatoes. Just eat bags of them. And so then you go to the doctor going, look at me, I'm all jaundicey, I'm sick. And then if the doctor's good, he's going to look at your eyes and he's going to bust you. Because when you eat the carrots, your eyes don't turn yellow. They just kind of stay white. So, go home. You just have a neurological problem. This guy here has something else. This guy here thinks that silver will make you live forever. So he's been eating lots of silver every day. And it turns out, no one knew, but it turns you blue. So there you go. Don't know if he'll live forever, but he's blue. And I think he got in free at the new Smurf movie, I bet you. I mean, you got to let that guy. My goodness. No question there. It always strikes me like, yeah, that's Papa Smurf. So cool. Except he's a nut. So hepatitis is what you think about with jaundice, typically. So, like I said, blocked bile ducts, that'll cause jaundice symptoms. If you have what's called hepatitis, now hepatitis in general just means your liver's inflamed. That's it. Now, you have been conditioned, as I have, that hepatitis, you're thinking of the viruses that hit. So you got your A's through E's, I think now. That's what we typically associate with hepatitis. But in general, it just means the whole thing is inflamed, but yeah, you're thinking viral. And so jaundice is a symptom of this. So you go to the doctor all jaundicey, they're probably going to quarantine your butt, because if you have hepatitis, that can be a big deal. And if you find that it's gallbladder or something, bile duct, then you're not contagious. But if it's one of these, then yeah, you better keep you by yourself for a bit. Yep, hepatitis is mean. Any questions there? And they have different varieties. Some of these are worse than others. Some aren't so bad, they're curable, but others mean. So if you have gallstones, that's the cute jaundice thing. What you have is, here's your gallbladder, and The key to gallstones is it's cholesterol. That's it. So when we get to kidney stones, it could be a number of things that cause kidney stones, but with gallbladder, it's cholesterol. And that's because your liver's, one of the liver's jobs is to process fats, extra fats. And so if you start getting extra fats, the liver will put it in your poo. It's trying to put it in the bile to poop it out, so you don't have to bother your kidneys. And as it concentrates it in the bile, sometimes, typically some sort of imbalance, the cholesterol just crystallizes. And there you go, you got yourself a gallstone. And if they get up in here, they're just going to hurt because this thing's going to contract. It's like taking broken glass and squeezing it over and over. But if one of these little tubes gets in the bile duct, then yeah, then you're going to go jaundicey and stuff. So yeah, it tends to clog the bile duct. There's jaundice again. Just depends what caused it. And we have one of these in the lab. I don't know if I mentioned, but go in the lab. It's about this big. It says gallbladder on it. And so there's a gallbladder with all the gallstones in there. It's very cool to see. It's floating around somewhere, probably on the shelf on the left-hand side. Yep. Good question, gallstones. Ah, very cool. Everyone's favorite, of course, diarrhea. I mentioned before. Mainly what you got is lots and lots of mucus and water. And here's the key right here. Okay, this one, it's interesting. In North America, we have reduced this to an inconvenience. So when you have diarrhea, you go to the Walgreens, you buy some little pills, you take them, you're fine. Okay, across the world, this kills hundreds of thousands of people. So this is a big deal. This is like wiping people out. But in North America, like I said, we've just got it down to nothing. So it's yay for us. But man, this is a big deal. So clinically, especially you go overseas, wow, this is going to be a big deal. Especially little kids, they dehydrate so fast. You got to like watch them close. Sometimes diarrhea is called Montezuma's revenge. I won't test you on that. But anybody know who Montezuma was? Oh, good, he was an Aztec warrior. He was the king of the Aztecs at the time. And so the Spaniards came over and said, "Where'd you go, Aztecs?" And the Aztecs says, "Well, we don't have any." So the Spaniards, of course, killed them all. And then they killed Montezuma too, just a kid at the time. And so then the Spaniards started getting horrible diarrhea, and they were just dying by the handfuls. And so obviously the King Montezuma is attacking our large intestines and making us have diarrhea. So that's where the legend came from. Won't test you on that, but it's pretty cool. So yeah, he was 18 when they killed him. Causes of diarrhea are everything. Anything that makes your large intestine mad. So you're talking bacteria, viruses, parasites, worms and things, certain medications, Sunset Grills, St. Augustine on A1A. With a vengeance. So all I want you to know for the test is this bit up here. And just know diarrhea, the big danger, dehydration. That's the big hit. That's why it's so evil. Because if it's something bad in your intestines, the first couple rounds are good. You're getting rid of it. You don't want that in you. But then 15, 16 rounds into it and you're passing out in the bathroom, you want to get some help. Yep, quick question on diarrhea. Good, good. Oh, now I will show you the best digestion video ever made. And there are 3 mistakes and it's still the best digestion video ever made. So look for the mistakes, but overall, just, oh my goodness. Take notes, everything. This is so awesome. You will learn much.
This is the story of the devil Vegas Zoo and the kid named Jack and his friends a lemur too. Jack and his friends were driving in his car. The car had just been fixed and they hadn't gotten far. Jack said, "Guys, I'll turn the radio on, I think," but he pressed the wrong button and the car began to shrink. All around the engine sound, the car began to spin around and looking, and no one was found but Jack and his friends. They were such a frightened plane that fell into a garbage can, were eaten by a hobo man, poor Jack and his friends. Inside the mouth, Jack and his friends stayed seated while the hobo man chewed and saliva was secreted. The enzyme amylase was released and they turned into a bolus as they started down the stairs shouting, "Jack, you really owe us." They passed a flapper tissue called the epiglottis, which quickly goes the windpipe and forced them towards the esophagus. Esophagus was fronted, asked, "What are these actions?" Paralysis said the lemur, known as muscle contractions. Everywhere they watched and stared, Peggy wet her underwear. "Hey, look guys, what's that up there's a sphinctery pool. I don't like the look of this, this car smells just like Peggy's piss. From past the sphincter stomach's next and Jack lost his cool." Stomach Jack shouted, "Oh my frick, 'cause I know the gastric juices are so gosh darn acidic. If They are so acidic, can they harm the stomach at all? Not usually answered Jack, cause the mucus on the wall. Luckily Jack's car was made out of magic. If not, they would have died and the story would be tragic. They were churned for the juices for quite some time, till they passed through the pylorus in a substance called chyme. Inside small intestine now breaks down through parts known as cow. Peggy Sue, you're such a cow, you're making me queasy. Duodenum, veggiejunum, ileum makes 3. Peggy Sue, please stop crying, you're such a fat beezy. The small intestine was covered in finger-like projections. Lemur told them they were villi and the brains were the connections. Water villi, 4 villas, they seem kind of gaudy. They're nutrients and vitamins to be absorbed by the body. What's that? Asked Jack. Is that some type of germ? It's a parasite, Jack, and it looks like a tapeworm. I am a tapeworm, but if you give me a chance, you'll see what I can do. All I want to do is dance. They became friends and danced for a while, till the liver came along and turned them into bile. You stop fast, Jack. What could be the matter? Don't worry, said the tapeworm, it's only the gallbladder. The hormone secretary told the pancreas where the food was at, so it let our enzymes to break down proteins, carbs, and fat. Hey, Mr. Pancreas, you are pretty cool. I also neutralize stomach acid, so that's why I rule. The large intestine was so fun, took water from everyone. Now that means we're almost done. Hooray for digestion. Hey, that's the appendix there. It's so useless, I don't care. Little there. Hey, hooray for digestion. Friends found themselves in the colon of ascending, which led them to the transverse and into the descending, and then into the rectum. That's where they resided. We're almost free, said the tapeworm, and they were so excited. Out of the anus, they saw the light of day. They threw their hands up and they shouted hooray. They were so darn happy, they could hardly sit. They were transported out in a substance called poo. We're so strong, this isn't nice, but if I press this button twice, hey, we're back and we're alright. Hooray for Jack and his friends. They all laughed and cried and gave each other hugs. After that, the friends decided that they'd never do drugs.
Awesome. Best educational video ever on the Cool. So now I'm going to put it all together. It's all going to make sense.
What's that
Okay, so
video called?
I don't know. It takes me forever. If I lose it, I have to find it again. If you just email me, I'll send it to you. It's just an
Okay.
FLV file. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Yeah, if you go on YouTube and look for digestion, school bus, it takes forever. Sometimes you find it. Yeah, so any questions there? Oh, anyone see the mistakes? There's like 3 or 4 of them. They said paralysis instead of peristalsis.
Yeah.
I was a little off.
Chime.
They said chime instead of chyme. Yeah.
The sphincter was
The sphincter was, there is no sphincter between the esophagus and stomach. Yeah, that was another one. The epiglottis went the wrong way. So they showed the epiglottis folding. It was like going this way. It would never go that way because your food would knock it down. So there's a couple, and the whole entire digestive system was flipped over.
There's another mistake.
Yeah, what's
They
that?
kept saying car, it was a van.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, you're right. See, no control whatsoever. But pretty awesome. I like it. Okay, so what allows the digestive system to do its job? Parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so parasympathetic has to be in charge, and then you can digest. If your sympathetic's in charge, your digestion will suffer because the sympathetic is interested in stealing blood for the skeletal muscles to get you to run from Bigfoot or whatever. So parasympathetic is the one that really likes to run it. So if the parasympathetic is in charge, what's going to happen is it says, okay, let's think about food or something. So right now, if you haven't eaten, you're a little bit hungry. You think, well, maybe I should get me, let's say cherry cheesecake again, or apple pie with a crusty crust in maybe some frosting. What's happening is you're salivating and your stomach just sped up. Just what happens. You can't help yourself. And you've always salivate, but you salivate more when you get hungry. So it's a different kind of saliva. It's more liquidy with amylase in it. Normally your saliva is less liquidy and kind of thicker. So your saliva just changed and your stomach's speeding up. So you got these two things going on. And so while this is all going on, what happens is, whoops, you're going to start to chew it when it gets in your mouth. Okay, so saliva begins to break down mainly carbohydrates chemically. What enzyme do you use to break down sugars? Good, amylase. So this is your first chemical attack. Now mechanically you're breaking down sugars and proteins. Fats, of course, you can't touch. But you begin to break down with amylase on the sugars at least. And then the food, of course, your tongue tastes it to see if it's good or not. And you're also bringing in what's called flavor, which includes olfaction, smell, so you can kind of smell it while you chew it and taste it, and everything's going on at once. Very cool. All right, so we're about to swallow. Any questions there? Good. So let's swallow it, see what happens. So when food enters the esophagus, your stomach, now with the first swallow, your stomach will start to kind of dilate. Say, all right, here we go. We're ready for round one. Your pyloric sphincter is probably pretty large at this point. No reason to contract. There's nothing in it yet. Okay, so everyone's getting ready for some food. Okay, so what happens is anything you eat is going to make the pH go higher than 2. You're not typically going to swallow something at a pH of 2. That's kind of off your chart. You're going to get something at pH of 6 or 4 or 7 or whatever. And so anything you swallow is going to dilute the pH. And the second the cells detect the pH has shifted, you're going to start making acids to increase the pH. So the way it's going to work is your stomach's going to release gastrin. Okay, that's the hormone. So your enteroendocrine cells in the stomach release gastrin. It's a hormone, goes in the blood. It comes all the way back. What's the target organ of gastrin? Oh, you would think. It's actually stomach. So gastrin is made by the stomach and targets the stomach. What cells specifically make the acid? Parietal cells. So gastrin is going to target the parietal cells. So there's a nice little flow chart for you. Food dilutes the acid. The cells detect it. Enteroendocrines release gastrin. Gastrin targets the stomach, and then that targets specifically parietal cells to release more acid. So that kicks off right away as soon as the food hits. At this point, your stomach's getting hit. It's going to start to go, uh-oh. Pyloric sphincter is going to start saying, I better close down a bit. Here comes the food. All right, any questions there? Good. So what's happening there is while the stomach grumbles, the large intestine starts to empty out. So when you eat, sometimes you're like, I just sat down and I got to poop. That's what happens. Is the enteric nervous system detects food coming, and so it'll tell your large intestine, we got more coming, dump it. Don't care what it is. So when you feed little babies sometimes, you put that bottle in there, sucky, sucky, bam, the diaper fills up. You're like, gotta be kidding me. And so you gotta scrape all the poo out and go back to the bottle. Oh, I miss babies. Yeah. So let's see what the intestine does. That's very nice. So the enteroendocrine cells, the intestine, as soon as they get food in them, they say, oh my goodness, we need help. So the enteroendocrine cells start squirting out secretin and CCK. Okay, what does secretin target? What's the target organ in that one? Good. It's going to cause the pancreas to dump pancreatic juice. And the way I remember this one, I don't know why, this is ancient memories, but I drew it like this at some point. I draw myself a pan, so in my mind it looks like a pancreas, and then I write BLAP, and so I've got bicarbonate, lipase, amylase, and protease. So in my mind that makes sense. This is probably not very helpful to everybody, but it stuck in my head. Got me through whatever classes I had taken. So you get pancreatic juice out of secretin. Now CCK is the double-headed one. CCK comes out, and any food at all, but fatty food especially, will cause you to get bile. So it's going to cause the gallbladder to contract. What cells actually make bile? Hepatocytes in the liver. Oh, good. So hepatocytes are going to squirt the bile out. Hepatocytes are making bile all the time. And so what actually squirts out is what's in your gallbladder. So it gives you a nice little shot of bile. So at the same time, CCK also targets the pancreas to release pancreatic juice. So CCK is a double-headed one, whereas secretin is just a one-trick pony. All right, so all this goes on the second that food hits the intestine. It starts screaming for help. Got to give me some help. And because you got to do all this stuff in 10 inches. All right, so any questions there? So our food's now in the intestine, working its way down. So at the same time, this is when, like I said, the stomach starts to go, uh-oh, food's on the way. So pyloric sphincter closes down a little bit. Your stomach's going to kind of not be so active. It's not so excited anymore because now it's actually got food in it. So you don't want to get too churny and stuff because then you'll puke. All right, the question there. Stomach slows down. So now what's happening is intestines are doing their job. Stomach's going to hold whatever it needs to and put it in the intestine little by little, 50 mils at a time or so. So now in the small intestine, we got a lot of work to do. So what we got is this so-called brush border. It's called brush border because of the villi. But we're going to have amino acids. What enzyme causes the liberation of amino acids? Oh, good, proteases. So I just asked you a question just from another point of view. Normally I would say what breaks down protein. You would say protease. But if I say, well, what causes amino acids to appear? Same answer. Proteases break down proteins. So if I ask you the same way, what causes monosaccharides to appear? Amylases. Oh, good, good, good. So then what causes fatty acids to appear? Lipases. Oh, good. What enzymes cause vitamins and minerals to appear? Nothing. Good. It's a trick question. Yeah, there are no enzymes for vitamins and minerals. If you enzyme a vitamin, it's now worthless. You got to use them the way they come, and you don't want to break a mineral because city block and all that. Yep, bad stuff. So there you go. That's what this is the intestine's job. Grab these one molecule at a time. Any questions on that? Makes sense. Oh, good. Okay. Finally, large intestine. What you do is you grab some water out, grab some vitamins. Boom, you're done. You finished it up. So you move just enough water, take it out to let the poo still be solid but not get dehydrated. Vitamins are coming off the bacteria. Everyone's happy. So any questions? There's the whole thing in one shot. That's what happens. Yeah.
I have a question. I mean, that's in my notes from when I took the class.
Yeah.
For secretin and CCK, I have a note saying that secretin stimulates pancreatic juice to be released, obviously.
Yeah.
And then the CCK, I have a specific note that it causes bile to be released, and then it stimulates the pancreas to make stuff.
No, it does the same thing really as secretin
so it's
does.
still, is it like the pancreas will just make more in response to release?
It overlaps
like
pancreas.
constant
Yeah.
kind of-
Pretty much. For some reason, the acidic cells are sensitive to both. Don't know why.
Vitamins and minerals are made in the small and absorbed in the large.
No, most vitamins and minerals are absorbed in the small. So you eat them the way they are. You can't really make a vitamin or a mineral. You just eat them and absorb them. And then some are absorbed in the large because the bacteria are actually making them. You're not. Yeah, so it's just absorption. It's all you do with vitamins and minerals. You can't make them.
Because they're not available in small, right?
Yeah, exactly. For those. All right, cool. I'll see you guys Tuesday. I'll write a test for you. So get on that.